One day, I went with Mama to her work. I had to make the 3-hour, 2-transfer, 3-bus trip with her from our side of town to Mrs. Ann Richardson's. Well, the further we traveled, the landscape starkly contrasted our own asphalt and gravel. Our little neighborhood reeked of the beer, urine, and trash that used to run down into the sewage drain. But there were rainbows peeking out from every corner, and the sunrise seemed to hug the housetops. The grass lay green as a watermelon's back, stiff as Daddy's porter uniform. Looked like Mama had run her eyes straight across it too. But Mama's work wasn't the stuff beautiful days were made of. No, Mama did days work. She sent the Richardson's kids off to school that day, and them calling out to her, "Bye, Josie." Her name was Mrs. Josephine Cogfield. And then Mama began her routine of washing and ironing and cooking and vacuuming and dusting while making the beds they slept in and folding the clothes they wore. And all the time, Miss Ann would just be watching, scoping every move Mama made. And then with the brush and pail at her side, Mama would stand for a long time just looking at the kitchen floor. It was as wide as our church's fellowship hall. And I heard Miss Ann call, "Josie, you remember how I told you from wall to wall?" And Mama started scrubbing like she wished she were already through. Back then, almost crouching, trying to balance her weight with one hand and reaching and rushing with the other. Mama did everything she could to keep her knees from touching the floor. And then Miss Ann stepped into the kitchen and said to Mama, "Josie, you remember how I told you? You got to clean it like you're praying." And then she looked at me with my 4-year-old pigtail and said to Mama, "Pray harder." Mama glanced at me and then lowered herself some more until she was done with the floor. When I graduated from college, I went back to that house to pick Mama up from work. The sun wasn't shining any brighter on that side of town, and the houses weren't so big anymore. The kitchen floor wasn't really as wide as my church's fellowship hall. I knew it because Mama had just finished cleaning.